I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, April 22nd, and if the clerk would please read the roll.
Councilmember Archibald. Here. Councilmember Cole. Here. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilmember Moeller. Councilmember Ruiz.
Here.
Mayor Rupp.
Here. You have the minutes before you from the regular meeting of April the 8th. Do we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there any additions or deletions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We will move on to presentations. Number 1, please.
Is a proclamation recognizing May 12th through the 18th as Police Week and May 15th as Police Officers Memorial Day will be presented to Mike Reeves, Director of Public Safety. Will be presented to Mike Reeves, Director of Public Safety.
I'd like to read this. It's light just right. Whereas the Congress and President John F. Kennedy signed Public Law 87-726 in 1962, designating May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week beginning on Sunday in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the law was amended by the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, Public Law 103-322, signed by President William Jefferson Clinton, directing that the flag of the United States be displayed at half-staff on all government buildings on May 15 each year. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Port Huron Police Department will honor Detective Sergeant Roy Shamblow, who was killed in the line of duty on October the 10th, 1930, and all officers who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty by wearing black mourning bands for a 48-hour period beginning Wednesday, May 15, 2013. Now therefore I, Pauline M. Repp, by the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Port Huron, and on behalf of Council Members Archibald, Cole, Harris, Lewandowski, Moeller, and Ruiz, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2013, to be Police Week, and May 15th, 2013, to be Peace Officers Memorial Day, and urge all citizens to join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Like to say anything?
Just thank you, Mayor and Council. We appreciate your support. And this week, I guess, the end of last week couldn't draw any more attention to the need for all first responders, not just police officers, but also citizens alike who band together and work to make a better community. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to kind of deviate a little bit because we have special guests in our audience tonight. We have Boy Scout Troop 168 of Port Huron from Hollandwood School, and I believe their leader is Jeff Talmadge. Rather than having to wait through the entire agenda, I'd like to invite Jeff and his scouts to come up, and if they'd like to say anything, I understand they're working on a merit badge. Jeff and his scouts to come up, and if they'd like to say anything, I understand they're working on a merit badge. You can just go to the podium if you want and kind of all crowd in together, and your scout leader sure will have a few words to say. Kind of all crowd in together, and your scout leader sure will have a few words to say.
Mayor Repp, Council Manager Brown, we thank you for this opportunity to share this meeting in this forum as these guys learn how communication works, and we're working on our citizenship in the community and our communications merit badge. We're trying to get two things with one stone tonight. So like you said, we are from Hollandwood School in Port Huron, and we hope that these young men will utilize the things that they learned tonight to become involved in their community as they become adults and be strong pillars of the community. And again, we thank you.
Well, thank you for coming tonight. If anyone wonders what we're looking at, we have a lot of feedback on our sound system right now, so if anyone wonders. We're going to move on to public hearings. If the clerk would please read the first one.
We have 7 public hearings this evening, and they'll be held on code cases to determine if they constitute a nuisance as defined by city code. The first one is public hearing number 13-012, and is approving the immediate demolition of 1302 11th Avenue, and it is code case number 12-032 for listed violations.
Before I open up to the audience, if Ms. Harmer would like to come forward and at least give us some information on code case, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Rep, and council members. I was going to make a joke about I'm only going to say this once, but this evening you have tonight before you 1302 11th Avenue, and the property has been sitting vacant for actually a number of years. There are back taxes owed, and the lot itself is not a buildable lot. The property, we went out and did the inspection. We had several photographs to show. We've been in touch with the owner of record and have been advised that they are no longer interested and that it will be going through a foreclosure process. We have had some issues with a vandal getting in and stripping some of the equipment in the home, copper piping and that type of thing. So we'd like to move forward with it as a demolition.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this public hearing about 1302 11th Avenue? Seeing no one, I will declare public hearing, the first one for code case 13012, closed. And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewandowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz. Any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to the next one.
Is public hearing number 13-013, and it would be approving the immediate demolition of 622 11th Street, known as code case number 12-033 for listed violations.
Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you. 622 11th is also been vacant. The water was turned off the end of September in 2012 with a past due bill owing and 1 year's worth of property taxes due. The property is also not on a buildable lot. In fact, it's only a 40 by 50 foot lot. And we would like to move forward with this as well.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on 622 11th Street? Seeing no one, I will declare this public hearing closed and ask for a motion for demolition.
So moved.
Councilmember Cole, and second by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, and we'll move on to the next one.
Is public hearing number 13-014, and is approving the immediate demolition of 2828 John L. Portis Drive, known as code case number 12-034 for listed violations.
Councilmember, this property has also been vacant for a number of years. The water was shut off 4 years ago. There are no back taxes or bills due on it. However, when we continue to go by the property, it has deteriorated, and as you can see, no one has been taking care of it. Our response originally to a property owner, a family member, indicated that they thought they were interested in making repairs. Unfortunately, when it came down to it, they opted not to move forward with it. So we would like to go ahead with the demolition.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on 2828 John L. Portis Drive? Seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion for demolition.
Motion.
Councilmember Lewandowski, second. Councilmember Harris. Any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. And we'll move on to the next one.
Is public hearing number 13-015 and is approving the immediate demolition of 1014 Rollins Street, known as code case number 13-002 for listed violations.
Council members, 1014 Rollins Street, the water was shut off in December. It does have a bill, a little over $200 that is owed on that. There are 2 years of property taxes back due. The lot itself is a buildable lot. However, the structure has so many violations with it, and it's such a large size. As you can see, a tree has fallen across the top portion of the roof, and there's water damage inside. We'd like to also move forward with this one as demolition.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on 1014 Rollins Street? Declare this public hearing closed and ask for a motion for demolition.
So moved.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Second?
Councilmember Cole. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
just a quick question for Kim. Do the owners of these places let you guys inside to take the pictures, or do you just have the ability to go in? I'm guessing if I was in one, I wouldn't let you in there, but just curious.
For the majority of these cases, Councilmember Lewandowski, we have to go to court, and we get an administrative warrant, which allows us to go inside. And that's because they haven't responded to our numerous requests. Every once in a while, someone will meet us and allow us to go through, and it's usually a family member of someone who's deceased, or, the property has changed hands several times, but normally it's through a court order.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council? I kind of got distracted here for a second on this code case. Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second? Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion? Oh, okay.
I'll take the first one.
That's okay. You know what it is? It's because he was talking to me. I lost my words. Where it was. That's okay. This is like reliving it all over again. We'll take a vote.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to the next one.
Is public hearing number 13-016 and is approving the immediate demolition of 2512 Gratiot Avenue, known as code case number 13-003 for listed violations.
Go ahead.
Property on Gratiot Avenue, up until now, we had not had a response. The water was shut off, last May, with a water bill of over $600 still due, 2 years' worth of taxes that are still due, and the lot is only 25 feet wide. Today, I did receive via email a communication from the owner of record who indicated that although it was going through a foreclosure process, he was trying to work with the bank to see if it would be possible to have the bank stop that foreclosure process. He indicated that he may or may not be able to be here this evening, and that the property was secured and winterized, but he would need at least another month before he could work it out with the bank. Despite that, council staff's recommendation is to go forward with the demolition.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address code case on 2512 Gratiot Avenue? Please come forward and state your name.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. My name is Kennard Gross Jr. I am the property owner on this property right here. I have been in touch with the mortgage companies on this. I had 19 houses in the city. Obviously, with the market the way it went, some of them have to go. The bankruptcy that I had, they told me that the trustee would take care of the property and he would sell it. He would do whatever he had to. In dealing with the attorneys, that's what I thought was going on. The house is secured, It has been winterized, the electric has been shut off, the gas is shut off. I see no safety issues for the public on this property now, and I don't see demolition it until I can get, what we're gonna do with this property. If I can get it back and fix it up, I'd be happy to. If the mortgage company wants to take it, so be it, and we'll have to go from there. But right now, I don't have an answer. I can't tell this council, what's gonna happen in the future for me. I thought this property was already gone. I thought this was one of them that had already been foreclosed on back in May, and I just found out recently, within the last week, that this one still sits in my name.
Did you not get the notices?
The notices went to a P.O. box. I got some, I didn't, but again, I thought that everything was given to the attorneys. So, and when I talked to the city, I called the number on the city and I told them what was going on back 3 months ago or whenever, when the first notices came out. So I just thought the attorneys would take care of everything. And it doesn't look like that's gonna be the way to go. It doesn't look like the bankruptcy courts are gonna sell it. That's where my understanding was. That's why I didn't put a tenant back in it. I didn't want to put a tenant in it and then find out it was gonna be foreclosed on in, in 6 months and have to boot somebody out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council on this public hearing for 2512 Gratiot Avenue? I will declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for demolition?
So moved.
Councilmember Lewandowski, support by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
Kim, a couple questions.
Sure.
I'm assuming this house is a rental.
Yes, it was.
When was the last time they had a rental certificate?
I'm sorry, Councilmember, I apologize, I don't have that right here. The water was shut off in May of 2012, so a year ago. But I don't have when the last certificate was issued.
Okay. I'm not going to support keeping it. I'm going to support tearing it down because it is a rental. I don't know how you could put anybody in there, or how he has been putting anybody in there. If it's in this bad a shape where it's about to be torn down, I guess I would have some questions on that, but I won't be supporting to save the house tonight.
Any other discussion?
Mayor Rep.
Yes,
One
Mayor
other
Pro Tem
follow-up.
Archibald.
Kim, have you had any contact at all prior to today's email?
I have not. We have sent out the notifications and did receive a letter back from a finance company that indicated to us that we needed to send all communications to Aurora Bank, and so we did, as well as to Mr. Gross, to the P.O. box that we had on our records.
Guess one more question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Kim, was there anything posted on the house itself besides in the mail?
Yes, sir, we always post as well.
That's
We
right.
do certified mail, regular mail, and then we post.
That's what I figured. All right, thank you.
So the notice has definitely been out there for a long period of time.
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember Cole.
I didn't see any pictures of the interior. Did you have an opportunity to view the interior as well?
Yes.
I see there are multiple code violations for building, electrical, mechanical. Is it in bad a shape on the inside as it appears to be on the outside?
Honestly, it's not as bad as some of the other ones that, of course, we have seen. However, because it has been vacant, I'm just looking for some to see if I could quick show. We do have issues with some wiring. We have issues with, it appears that there had been water in the basement that maybe wasn't taken care of. Drywall, of course, is typically. And I guess to be fair, that's really it. You have older windows and doors, older paneling and things of that nature. But as far as structural damage, it would be some areas of the basement, wiring, and drywall. Some windows appear not to be fitting properly.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions, discussion? I just wanted to ask, I guess in your opinion, and I know it's just an opinion, the amount of repairs that are needed for it, is it worth putting into it? I mean, you said it was only on is this the one with the 25?
It is, it's only a 25-foot lot, and given that there are back taxes, back water bill, and then the repairs on top of that,
Yeah, you're
I guess
talking-
that would not be our recommendation.
And did I hear Mr. Gross say he owned 19 other properties in the city? Throughout, okay. Okay, okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Move on to the next code case.
Is public hearing number 13-017 and is approving the immediate demolition of 1315 6th Street, code case number 13-005 for listed violations.
Councilmember 1315 6th Street. The water was shut off in November. There are no back water bills due. However, there are 2 years, almost 3 years really, worth of taxes due. It's on a 36-foot lot, which is not a buildable lot. And the property owner of record is an investment company that has not responded to our request.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address City Council on this code case? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion for demolition.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Cole. Is there a second?
Second?
Councilmember Ruiz. Discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. And we will move on to the last code case.
Is public hearing number 13-018 and is approving the immediate demolition of 1327 Wells Street, known as code case number 13-006 for listed violations.
1327 Wells is a property that, back the first of the year, excuse me, you may recall the city took the garage down. Oh, it's the back end, I'm sorry. Didn't realize we started with the back end of the house. We had to take the garage down because of no response. The roof to that had caved in. The property has then been built and a lien placed on that as well. The property itself sits on a 50-foot lot, which is a buildable lot. It is up to date in the taxes, but it does have a water shut-off bill from January of this year, a little over $160. We've had communication from a real estate company who is representing the mortgage company, and they had indicated to us, or asked if we could consider giving them a 60-day extension so that they could market the home. And then at that point, they would ask the potential buyer if they would agree to enter into a work agreement. Again, council staff's recommendation is that we go ahead and proceed with the demolition. The 60 days to market the home, I can certainly appreciate that, but to me, that just means we have 2 more months where it's on the market without assurance of a buyer, and certainly without assurance of a buyer who would enter into the work agreement, make the necessary repairs, and turn it back into something that the neighborhood would be proud of.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this code case on 1327 Wells Street? Yes, Keith, please come forward. Just give us your name.
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th Street. This particular property backs up to my backyard, and as much as I hate to see something torn down that's been a homeowner for the 20 years that I've owned my house, if this particular property were to get sold right away, it would just be a further burden on the block, because I'm afraid that it would get sold on the REO market, which I just read a big paper about, and it would turn into milkers that would just buy it to try and soak it without repairing it, whatever they could get for the next couple of years. And it's been a burden on the block for 20 years. You know, I could tell you a whole host of stories about what went on with that house, but the pictures the city has don't even reflect to the pictures that Bauer Reno had on there with a new power box with like 3 wires coming out of it, and that's a big 2-story house with hot water heat, and which I'm sure everything is shot. Like I say, like Kim said, it's a buildable lot, and I hate to see a homeowner's house go, but if that went, somebody could build a new house on the block and help us move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council on this code case at 1327 Wells Street? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion for demolition.
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald,
Second.
Councilmember Cole, seconded. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Wow, everybody's doing it in unison tonight. Councilmember Lewandowski.
Kim, when was the water turned off in this place? I know you just said it, but I didn't quite hear you.
January 23rd of this year.
So it was being rented before that, you think?
No, actually, it was an owner-occupied home for some time. But it had been vacant since, I believe, last June.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Someone else had a question down here too,
I
Councilmember
guess
Harris?
mine's more of a comment. I really don't think that we need another house like this in our housing stock. We got 100 homes out there like it, and they probably all need the same thing, and I'm voting for demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Thank you, Kim. We'll move on to public comment time. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council, they can come forward. Please give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
Just a short comment. I would like to say thank you to the city of Port Huron for putting up a street light at 13th and Water. It's only been a year, and they finally got the light up 2 months ago, and it's wonderful to have it. But it sure be a hell of a lot better if they turn it on. We have no light there whatsoever, and it's extremely dark at night. And I would really appreciate it if they'd turn the light on. The light looks real nice standing there, but it doesn't do a whole lot for you when it's dark out.
Thank you. I'm sure that Mr. Smith will follow up on that.
Oh, I have called and called, and I'm not alone.
We will follow up. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening? Come forward. Yes. Well,
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th. Regarding the resolution 13-061, I would like to see the word study replaced with the word action, and the phraseology city manager along with council and residents. Thank you.
thank you.
My name is Hilary Makatange, and I'm a homeowner in Port Huron, and I have the privilege of meeting with Chief of Police Reeves and Mr. Brown last month. That was a very nice meeting. I've had several homeowners in my neighborhood, which is called Seaway Terminal East and West, come to me with concerns about crime in the neighborhoods, and I was really encouraged at the meeting because I was hoping that there will be perhaps a reallocation of funds towards the blight office that is within the city building here. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be really great to hear something more about that. And also wanted to thank the Blight Commission for all their hard work, because I have reported a couple of blight problems in our neighborhood, and they have been cleaned up. I had a little bit of concern about the demolitions. I was wondering, is there any way of finding out of these demolitions? Were they previously put on the auction block at a Port Huron auction? Or, you know, how frequently are these buildings rolling over into auction? Does anyone know?
You could probably talk to Mrs. Harmer, maybe if
Okay.
you just want to take a moment and talk to her
Thank you.
afterwards. She could.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience? Yes, go ahead.
Donna Clune, Port Huron. With respect for America's recent tragedy, I would like to put forth some positive energy. Those who can define, analyze, and solve problems are high on my list of admiration. With that said, I would like to thank the police department for solving a problem that at best was a public nuisance and at worst could have caused the death of a local teenager. In closing, I would like to share an iconic paraphrase via Hillary Clinton. With children, it does take a village. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening? Seeing no one, I'll declare public comment time closed, and we will move on with the agenda, and it's from the city manager, number 1. Oh, I'm sorry, consent agenda. I'm really wanting to move on.
Go back to
Is there,
vacation.
I know. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Lewandowski, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. The items on the consent agenda were approving the Beautification Commission membership being reduced to a 9-member board, approving the scheduling of a public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the CAPER for program year 2012, it says. Is that correct, or 2013? We will check that.
That's actually correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Approving the scheduling of public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the establishment of an obsolete property rehabilitation act district for 319 and 321 Huron Avenue. Approving the scheduling of a public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the application for an obsolete property rehabilitation act certificate for 319 and 321 Huron. Approving a public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the tentative budget of the Port Huron Downtown Development Authority for the 2013-14 fiscal year. Approving the scheduling of a public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the tentative 2013-14 budget. And a public hearing for May 13th to hear comments on the proposed capital improvement program. We also had an ordinance given its second reading and enactment, which was one to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 1 generally, Section 52-162, which was for the purpose of rezoning property located at 408 Stanton Street from CBD, Central Business District, to R1, which is single and two-family residential district. And that is the items that were on the consent agenda, and now we will move on to from the city manager, number 1.
Is accepting the bid from D&J Cleaning LLC in the amount of $1,035 per mow and trim of various city-owned vacant lots.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
so just like to ask how many lots this is?
Yes.
Yes, Mayor, members of council, there are approximately 54 locations. With those locations, there's probably close to 100 lots.
So each time the cost is $1,035 for the entire amount of lots that they do in that?
Yes, they have
one
to
mow?
do them all before they get paid.
Okay, thank you.
One
Any-
more question, I guess.
Go ahead.
The company that's mowing it is a cleaning company. Now I'm assuming that's like a yard cleaning, not it's like a regular cleaning company?
That I do not know, but I do know that they are a mowing company. They actually have our, one of our contracts for mowing from last year. So they are capable.
Thank you. Is there anything else from anybody while Mr. Smith's up there? Thank you. If there's no other discussion, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to resolutions. Number 1.
Is approving the submission of a grant application with the U.S. Department of Justice for funding through the 2013 COPS hiring program.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Lewandowski, seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion? Take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Resolution number 2.
Is authorizing acceptance of the Burn JAG grant from the Michigan State Police in the amount of $40,000 with a local match of $4,444.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Lewandowski. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
guess we can ask the chief what the money's going to be used for.
Yes, this grant is called Operation TIP, Technology Improvement Program. Recently, there were laws that were passed by the House and Senate in regards to having all custodial interviews being taped. Ours were always taped in felony cases, but our equipment is a little bit old. We were able to write a grant that will pay for the re-equipping of our interview rooms and a couple of the other rooms to bring it up to the standards that I like in technology. In addition, we were also able to incorporate 2 trained Cellbrite investigators would allow us to download forensic information from telephones, computer telephones, and also cellular telephones for purposes of identifying conspiracies such as drug deliveries and stuff like that. So now we'll have the latest technology and we'll offer those services not only within our community but the rest of St. Clair County. So it's paying for 2 Cellbrite operators, that equipment, and the equipment to rehab our investigative detention rooms and our interview rooms. And then the equipment that's in there, I'll sell that to another community.
Just a quick one, too. I guess people hear that, the Cellbrite, is that what it's called, Cellbrite? Is that something you'd still have to have a warrant for to get into these funds?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, all right.
I'd rather not go into the
I
details of
understand,
that, but sometimes we do, and sometimes there's exigent circumstances where we don't need a warrant.
Any other discussion or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other discussion, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to resolution number 3.
Is endorsing the Port Huron Housing Summit concept to restore city neighborhoods to viable and safe places to live, and directing the city manager to design and implement measures to positively impact the quality of life in our neighborhoods.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Cole, is there a second? Second. Councilmember Ruiz. Before we ask for discussion, I think Mr. Brown has comments he'd like to make, so.
Thank you. Over the past several years, we've seen a marked improvement in our community. Private development dollars are once again finding their way into the city. Unemployment rates have dropped from 26% to just under 14%. Vacancy rates at the Port Huron Industrial Park have decreased from 45% to less than 9%. There's a feeling of optimism throughout the community that things are changing for the better. One area that has continued a downward trend is the condition and quality of life in many of our neighborhoods. You heard about it tonight. 4 years ago, Mike Connell wrote an op-ed piece in the Times Herald entitled, "Port Huron Stands at the Tipping Point." In the article, he suggested that Port Huron was tottering on the edge of the abyss. If it continues to slip, he said, it will join the ranks of other Midwestern ghost cities like Gary, East St. Louis, and Pontiac, and we might add Detroit to that list at this point. He quoted George Galster, a distinguished professor of urban policy at Wayne State University and the author of a major study on poverty in America. Galster indicated that when a community reaches a 20% poverty rate, neighborhoods become too impoverished and spiral out of control, descending into a maelstrom of crime and drugs. He indicated that that's a fancy way of saying that social problems feed on themselves and they don't get better. Crime begets crime, poverty begets poverty. Those who can flee do flee. Some of the more brave stay and do their best to live with the situation. The Port Huron poverty rate at the time of Mike's article was 16.9%, and you remember 20% was the tipping rate. In the last 2 years, the poverty rate has increased in the city of Port Huron to 26.4%. The good news is that we can do something, and there's still time to turn this situation around if we're resolute in our commitment to our neighborhoods. Over the past year, I've been approached by virtually every member of the City Council concerning the deteriorating condition of our neighborhoods. They have asked that I place this matter at the top of our priority list and begin an effective and meaningful campaign to focus on the quality of life objectives for those who choose to live and play in our residential areas. We have heard many, many stories and complaints concerning conditions in our neighborhoods that don't seem to get resolved. To be honest, the city's efforts have resulted from a lack of funds, a lack of commitment to face this issue head-on, and the will to put in place a process that will address this situation over the next several years. For instance, we have only one blight inspector to deal with 13,000 housing units in our city. Our problem seems to be threefold. Number one is the age and condition of our housing stock. 63% of our homes were built before 1960, and 32% were built before 1939. It is simply getting old and expensive to maintain. And that impacts the price, by the way, drives the price down. Number two, a high incidence of rentals in our city that directly affect the quality of occupancy in our neighborhoods. As a general rule, renters do not have the same commitment to housing maintenance and neighborhood quality of life as the homeowners do. 45% of our housing units, are registered as rental units. It is estimated that another 10% of our housing units contain unregistered rental units, resulting in a staggering 55% of our housing units. In most communities, a typical number of rentals would be in the 20 to 30% threshold. And number three, we have liberal social programs in the city that directly affect poverty levels and increase the incidence of crime and antisocial behavior in our neighborhoods. While we certainly have an obligation to assist the less fortunate in our community, we have no obligation to service the poor from Detroit, Flint, Pontiac, Saginaw, Sault Ste. Marie, and other parts unknown. I'm asking the City Council to support me and the many citizens who are having to endure crime and antisocial behavior in many of our neighborhoods by endorsing a concept of a Port Huron Housing Summit, a series of public meetings and strategic planning sessions designed to bring this issue to the forefront and recommend specific steps to begin to resolve the problems that face our neighborhoods. We are currently exploring a number of ideas that have been brought to us already by the citizens of this community. Others, I'm sure, will emerge as a result of our Housing Summit discussions. Port Huron is a great city with a bright future. Nothing is more important, however, than our commitment to a quality of life for those who choose to live and prosper in our community. I want to thank the City Council in advance for your support of this initiative and your willingness to take on a very difficult topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Open it up now for discussion.
Mayor Rep?
Whoa. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Actually, in response to Kathleen's comments and reading the resolution, I'm not necessarily thinking action would be the right word, but I do agree that study for me doesn't work, and maybe suggest a comprehensive analysis of neighborhood issues, because I don't think just discovering the issues is significant enough. I think we need to analyze what they are. So maybe change that wording, and I apologize, Kathleen, other than I'm not quite sure what you said on the next part about adding something to city manager.
And city council.
And city council and the residents, citizens.
I would support those changes.
Okay, well, we can discuss, and then when we get to the point, if you want to make a motion to amend it, that's the way you'd like to do it?
Yes,
Just
please.
go on, okay.
Mayor Up?
Yes, Councilmember Cole.
I'd just like to take an opportunity to voice my support for the Housing Summit. As many of you know, it's housing and neighborhood issues that got me involved in City Council in the first place, and living in a neighborhood that has challenges and wanting to do my part to improve our city. I really believe this could be a turning point in what's happening in our city, and I know there's a lot of support from agencies within the city, and I intend to be actively involved in this process and look forward with teaming with them and residents and other people in the community on this issue, which is very near and dear to my heart.
Thank you. Councilmember Harris, I believe?
Yeah, just a comment, to go along with what Bruce said. I just did a little figures today. I visited with Kim's office up there. And we had a 5% increase from 2011, 2012. We had 2,302 blight cases, and with the code violations and stuff, we're up to 2,521 issues that were in the city last year. I think Bruce has made some good ideas. I think, number one, we have to get some of our stakeholders have to involve. We were talking earlier about real estate people and the deal with condemnation in some of these homes and what they want to do. And, I think they're one of the biggest stakeholders in making Port Huron better. If we market a better product, they're going to make out, and they can help us and make the better products, and I think that the sooner this starts, the better.
Thank you. Councilmember Ruiz, did you have something?
I'd just like to say that I think this is probably the number one issue that's come before council in the last 4 or 5 years, and it's, we can talk, and many things come before council when we talk about Blue Water Fest and all those quality of life activities that come forth, but if our citizens aren't safe, and if our neighborhoods aren't safe, and good housing and not faced with the blight issues that many are on a day-to-day basis, then we're losing our city, and that cannot happen. I cannot believe that there is any council member that doesn't rally behind this issue, and I commend the city manager for bringing this forth now.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewandowski.
And I don't think you'll find anybody that doesn't want to see us do something about the housing stock in Port Huron, but I'm not really sure what I'm exactly voting on here. Like, what are we giving him the authority to do? What is the housing summit going to consist of? I guess that's what we didn't hear that part of it. So, before I can say yes, I'd have to have some answers to those questions. I'm not sure exactly what's the goal, what is, who's going to be involved in this, I guess.
Did you have answers to that? Do you have answers to his questions?
What was the question?
It was about what exactly is the summit going to be, and who's going to be involved? How's it going to be laid out?
It's going to be a very open process. We're going to have at least 2 public meetings. I understand there are problems in the neighborhoods because I've heard from hundreds of people, but I think we need to show that to be the case. I understand that many of the solutions that we're looking at will take many years. It's taken us 25 or 30 years to get here, and it's going to take some time to resolve this problem on a long-term basis. However, there are many things that I think we can do in the short term, in the next 7 months, for instance, before I leave, that will impact this process and will put in place a momentum that will carry beyond my term here and into future city manager terms. This is an issue that, to me, is absolutely critical that we get our arms around this. It's gone on for too long. I have sat on the porches of people who have said, there's a drug house, there's a drug house, there's a drug house. I can't have my grandkids over because of the crime in the neighborhood. And the police reports that we get are clear evidence of the fact that we need to get about doing something about this situation in our community. This is not to say that this is a crime-ridden cesspool. We are facing the same issues that many communities are facing all over the country. We probably have a higher rental rate than most communities that are facing these kinds of issues. But most of the other issues, crime in the neighborhoods, we are finding all over the place. There's a lot of things that are happening. We've had an opportunity to talk to a lot of communities about how they're handling some of these things. And I guess all I would say, Alan, is that this is a process that's going to start. It'll be very open. If there are sides to this issue, all sides will have an opportunity to put their comments in the record. And then as time goes on, I would hope in the next month or so, we will be able to bring you some specific recommendations of changes that we think are needed at this point in time and going forward that will address some of these issues.
So what we're asking for is this is a series of, excuse me, of 2 meetings that the public can attend to give their side of what's going on in their neighborhood. I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is this summit going to do?
That's part of it. There's also been a whole history here of, you'll remember the two foundations spent $1 million a number of years ago and tried to restore an entire neighborhood. I recently met with the two foundations and said, what happened? Was that a good experience or a bad experience? And they said, we would never do it again because we expected some backup that we didn't get. And if that had happened, we would have impacted more than one neighborhood. Those are the kind of things that we need to look at, understand, and try to project how to be able to get someone to invest $1 million in our neighborhoods and have it work to our advantage. This one hasn't necessarily.
And I'm just asking because when I first got on council the summer before, there was the roundtables that pretty much went nowhere, and I hate to see that happen again at this point, have people come in here and, you know, get all fired up about their neighborhood and then see us do nothing about it, I guess, and, you know, just say, oh, they just took one.
One of the problems that I have with roundtables is you'll have a roundtable on downtown. Somebody will say, I'd like a J.L. Hudson company. And so that goes in the record. Guess what? J.L. Hudson Company, I guess they're still alive, would never be in downtown Port Huron. So what we've done is we've elevated the expectations of someone and crashed their expectations at the same time. This is going to be different. I've been through a lot of these kind of things. This is going to be different because it's got to be followed up with specific recommendations that are designed to get at the edges of this situation. The rental situation is going to be many, many, many years before we see any kind of a change there. And that's okay. I'm a renter. Mike's a renter. You're a renter. We're pretty nice guys, so there's some good people in rental units, and we want to encourage that. In this day and age of economic uncertainty, rental is the only way for some people because they're upside down in mortgages or they're upside down financially, whatever. So I'm not trying to do away with rentals. I'm not trying to make life difficult, but we have got to face the crime issue head on. We have a serious drug issue, as do many, many communities, and we're doing things about that already. This isn't the first time we've thought about it, but I think this will focus that whole discussion, and I think you'll be happy with where we go with this.
So the focus of this summit's going to be to give you recommendations, not as to what's going on in there. Because that's what I'm trying to clear up is that you just want
We've got to hear the stories. This young lady back here that we met with has a very typical story for our neighborhoods. And we need to hear her and other people. There are many people that will come to me and go through what's going on in their situation, and they don't want to testify. They don't want anybody to know that they are complaining because they are concerned for their safety. What kind of a community is that? We can do better than that. And this is the time to draw the line in the sand and say, we're going to take this on and we're going to fix this.
All right.
Well, I guess I'll just add to that, that certainly I think, as was said before, all of us certainly back you as far as attacking this blight problem, and it's something that we all...
How far back?
Yeah. All of us have certainly mentioned it to you and before we ran for office and everything, because it is certainly an issue that's been out there for as long as I can remember. And I think that we do have to wrap our arms around it and do something about it. I would hope that you would keep us all very closely informed as to what and how, and report back to the public at our meetings and get it going as soon as possible. And if you need anybody on council to, be part of the meetings, or I'm sure that there's many here who would certainly be glad to do that. And I think it's certainly something that we do need to move forward on, and right away. Also, I guess I would add to that obviously it's budget time, and we will be meeting in a special, as well as having our public hearing on the 13th. We have a special meeting on the 16th. So I guess in between now and then, you have cited that we only have one blight inspector, and that's certainly something that's budget related. And if there's any way that you can figure out something.
We're already working on that.
Okay, because I would be very interested in hearing that during our budget session as to how we can right away do some movement toward that, separate and aside from the summit. So, do you want to make that motion to
I do.
change? Okay, so you want to change, go ahead.
I will make a motion to amend the resolution to replace the word comprehensive study to comprehensive analysis. I'm not going to make a motion to change city manager and include city council and residents because it's to implement, and we wouldn't be implementing, the city manager would. Maybe after city manager, we could put, we would direct the city manager based on this analysis to design and implement measures, because the input's going to come at the summit.
Correct.
Pardon me? That would be
Well,
coming
that's
at
the
the
summit.
summit, yes. The resolution isn't asking for input, it's directing him to implement, and residents won't be implementing. So we'd be asking for the city council and residents to have input at the summit.
Endorse the concept of a comprehensive analysis of neighborhood issues, including those, I guess you could put something there, including residents' comments, input, residents' input.
Yeah, originally I was going to put with input from city council and residents.
Yeah.
So we could add after, hereby directs the city manager with input from the city council and residents to design and implement
Yep.
measures.
Yep.
It's a little redundant because summit
know,
means that,
it
but
is,
that would
but-
work for me, yes.
Okay.
You have that, Sue?
No, I didn't. Okay,
Let
to
me
be known as
repeat.
the Port Huron Housing Summit, it's right after that?
So we would reword it, does hereby endorse the concept of a comprehensive analysis of neighborhood issues to be known as the Port Huron Housing Summit, and hereby directs the city manager with input from city council and residents to design and implement measures required to positively impact the quality of life in our neighborhoods.
Okay. Do we have a second? Councilmember Cole. Any discussion on the amendment? And we're voting on the amendment. Go ahead.
Can I ask one question, though? You're going to take out that based on this analysis, then?
Yes.
Okay,
We would replace that with input from city council and residents.
okay. Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
No.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Now you have the motion before you with the amendment. Is there any discussion left on any of that, or? We'll go
Mayor
ahead.
Rep.
Yes.
I guess just kind of a question, and maybe Mr. Brown could answer. We've talked about it and how that we've had lack of success in some of the courts in Port Huron, and are we prepared to strengthen an ordinance or something so we can get enforcement?
I am. Are you?
Oh, I'm absolutely for it.
It's ultimately
I'm
gonna be
absolutely for it,
your
but
decision.
but I think the courts have failed us.
We are doing some legal work already to try to understand some of the legal ramifications of some of the things that we're thinking about. And we want to make sure that if we have any legal issues, that we are well prepared.
Okay, good.
Any other discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes.
Thank you.
Get busy.
All right, go to work.
Resolution number 4.
Is approving the hiring of the Michigan Municipal League to conduct the city manager search.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Cole. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
guess I could ask the committee to tell us why they chose the municipal league over the other groups.
Okay, well, I guess I will open it up and let either one of you speak instead of me having to speak all the time.
Sure. Where you going? Do you want to?
Just
or
that I
want me
saw
to?
the MML has always been, what I've seen, active in looking forth to make the communities in the state strong. I did not lean toward that organization at first, but then realized that the scope of their search was expanded beyond the borders of Michigan. And they mentioned the factor about 43% of their candidates do come from outside the state. A majority of their placements, in comparison to the other organizations, were in city manager positions, and I like that. And again, most of the interaction that I saw from them, price was another factor. It was a big factor. Presentation in general was top-notch and professional, And again, it seemed like the focus was truly on city manager positions. And I guess for myself, the key was knowing that the landscape in Lansing has changed so often and so much that they're right on top of that, and they're going to look for a candidate who's aware of that. Is it a prerequisite that they come from Michigan and aware of that? But that person has to be knowledgeable, whomever it has to be. And I like the presentation totally. And that was not the initial way I was leaning toward.
My input is very similar. Again, it was not my initial, I was thinking somebody outside of the state would bring us someone that we couldn't necessarily look for on our own or find within the state. After interviewing two of the three, personally, I had a better feel for the one. The questions were answered definitely more professionally and directly from the Municipal League. They do have a much better understanding of what's going on in Michigan, so we feel that they will know what we're looking for. They weren't dead set on simply just a city manager to another city manager. They are willing to open the field to other types of candidates, be it in economic development or something else that the other company could do. And logistics was a big one. The other company is from Atlanta. There's a lot of travel involved, and we have to pay that expense. And so I really had to weigh heavily, was what we were getting from them worth that added cost? And frankly, the person that we interviewed did not do a good job of convincing me that they had our best interest at heart and it wasn't just a job. So that was kind of what sold me, was I really felt that they were selling a company and a job that they do and not necessarily guaranteeing me they were going to find the best fit for us. And the MML certainly assured us that they were looking out for our best interest and would do it any way we wanted to do it, however we wanted to do it, at any location we wanted to do it. So they just sold their presentation, sold me on them.
I guess I would just add to that I agree with both Rico and Sherry, and you know, cost is a factor, but obviously it was a professional presentation. They answered all our questions, and I think that one of the comments that was made was the fact that they want to see us succeed. It's important. They're in the state of Michigan. They want to see Port Huron do well, so they would like to get us a candidate that's going to fit our community. And the other firm that we did interview was from Georgia. So they really don't know much about our community or what's going on in the state of Michigan. So for a number of reasons, I felt that the best thing was to go with the MML.
And I think that organization from Georgia probably are capable of making some good placements. But I think we focused in on, again, MML simply saying that they wanted us to succeed simply for the sake of that, not as a representation or proof that they could do the job. They were looking out for the community itself. And I think all three of us picked up on part of the presentation when the one gentleman talked about flying first class and those kinds of things and those kind of entanglements that cost money for us. Just left a bad taste in our mouth, I think, with that. And the more recent placements were coming from the MML in terms of placements and the city manager positions. So,
are we working with just one representative from the MML, or is it the whole organization, or do we have one contact person through there?
It will be it was from a staff member that actually came here and did the presentation. Then there will be an actual facilitator that's part of their team that goes out and does this, and then they will meet with the entire city council. And the next step, that would be for them to meet with us. They would be one person who would be our contact person, although everyone works in the background to review the applications and do all that, but we would have one person as a contact person. And we would meet with them as an entire group. And the next job, of course, then is to come up with a profile for our city, a profile for what we expect for a city manager, something that all 7 of us can come to an agreement on, and of course the salary range and a whole lot of things. So we will have to have a special meeting in order to discuss all this. That would be the next step.
Okay.
Why do you ask, if I may?
There's a reason I'm asking, I guess.
Oh, just to know if there's a plus that you saw or a negative to it.
Curious if there would be a conflict of interest with who will be helping us on that or not.
If you're asking if it's someone from this area, it is not.
Okay.
If I can just kind of read into your question.
That's exactly where I'm going.
That's it.
It absolutely will not be a conflict. There will be the person that they have suggested 2 people. They will come up, we will come up with one of them, and both of those people live way on the southern part of Michigan, so there's no.
Nothing that,
No
the
conflict.
person that,
I know.
was intended is very well qualified to pick
Yes.
that person, but I just was curious.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That was
They'll
one of
have no
the key
involvement.
reasons I shied away from them, simply because, looking down the road, saw those possibilities of entanglements and not wanting to allow any one individual on council perhaps to look at that and split the whole process wide open, but we looked at it and we're real secure that it's
Yeah,
just going to be
one
open.
person, there will be
And
no
from henceforth,
contact.
this is a seven-person decision now in terms of making that
That
recommendation.
profile and, yep, so that'll be the next step, is to do that, but there's no worry about a conflict at all.
All right, no.
Okay? Any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Rapp.
Yes. And then we will be getting, we'll have the secretary get in touch with everybody as far as setting up a meeting so that we can all meet to go over the, what it is we're looking for in a new city manager. And that concludes the regular agenda. We do have a couple of announcements. The Parks and Forestry Department, in cooperation with the Port Huron Area School District, will celebrate this year's Arbor Day on Friday, April 26th by planting trees at Cleveland Elementary School at 9 a.m. and Garfield Elementary School at 1:30 p.m. The Spring Large Brush and Branch Pickup or Drop-Off Program begins May 11th. The cost is $40 for curbside pickup of large items, and you can call 987-6000 to arrange a pickup. City residents with ID can also drop large brush and branch items off at the Forestry Department on 10th Avenue at no cost. Both options will occur on Saturdays only, beginning May 11th and ending on June 1st. If there's anything else to come before the council from anyone? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.